Every night at exactly 11:11, an old radio in a small American town began to play a station that didn't exist. Nobody knew where the signal came from. There is no station number, no announcer's name. And by sunrise, the frequency was always silent. One rainy summer evening, a young traveler named Daniel discovered it. He was staying in an old guest house at the edge of town. The rain tapped softly against the windows. Unable to sleep, Daniel switched on the dusty radio beside his bed. At first, there was only static. Then the clock changed to 11:11. The static disappeared. A soft piano melody filled the room, and then a warm voice said, "Good evening. Wherever you are tonight, you are safe here." Daniel sat up. He searched through the radio. There was no station number, only a small glowing light. The voice continued, "Tonight's story is for anyone who has had a long day." Daniel smiled. The rain continued outside. The radio played gentle music while the voice described quiet places: a cabin beside a lake, a warm kitchen during a storm, a road covered with autumn leaves. Daniel listened without moving. Then the voice said something strange. "Sometimes we spend so much time thinking about tomorrow that we forget to notice where we are today." Daniel looked around his room. The rain, the warm lamp, the old wooden floor, the quiet sound of water running from the roof. He realized he hadn't noticed any of it before. He had been thinking about work, bills, plans, things he needed to do. But for the first time that night, his thoughts became quiet. The radio continued. Then the voice said, "Before tonight's broadcast ends, look outside." Daniel walked to the window. The rain had stopped. The town was completely silent. Streetlights reflected on the wet road, and above the rooftops, the clouds were slowly opening. A few stars appeared, then more. Daniel stood there quietly. The radio played one final melody, and just before midnight, the voice returned, "Thank you for listening." A pause. "Remember, tomorrow doesn't need your attention tonight." The radio clicked. Silence. Daniel looked at the clock. It was 11:12. Only 1 minute had passed. He checked the radio again. The frequency was gone. The next morning, Daniel asked the owner of the guest house about it. She looked at him strangely, then she smiled. "You heard it too?" Daniel nodded. She walked over to the old radio and touched its wooden case. "My father used to hear that station when he couldn't sleep. Do you know who broadcasts it?" She shook her head. "No." Then she smiled. But maybe that's not the important part. That night, Daniel went to bed early. At 11:11, he turned on the radio. Nothing happened, no music, no voice, only silence. Daniel smiled. Perhaps the station had never been there to entertain him. Perhaps it had only appeared when he needed to hear something simple, that it was okay to stop, to breathe, to rest, and to let tomorrow wait. Outside, the summer night was quiet. Daniel closed his eyes, and somewhere beyond the town, perhaps an old radio was waiting for another tired listener. Good night. Sleep peacefully.